Hey, good afternoon to you. 306 now, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we are making sense of the news. Coming up on the program, we'll be joined by Congressman Guy Reschenthaler. The border is collapsing. We'll ask a sitting congressman what he can do about it. We've got Stephen Camarata joining us at 4:30 from the Center for Immigration Studies as we take a closer look at the way that all of these illegal foreign nationals are wearing out our welfare system. A new report on that subject. And Jonathan Skrmetti is with us at 5:30. That would be Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti from the state of Tennessee. He's going after these big corporations who are currently engaged in a suicide pact with the American left. You can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Yeah, the border's a disaster, as you know. And today, the horrifying new update to this is that we're taking Border Patrol agents off of the mission now of protecting the incoming freight into the United States to make sure that things aren't getting through that shouldn't be, to include people and drugs, and to make sure that the imports get through safely. That's not happening now. For at least two major rail lines have been shut down by the Biden administration because Joe Biden and the people who pull his strings are reassigning all of these Border Patrol agents to process more illegals into the country. More illegals into our country. This is an active mission to facilitate an invasion, and it has been for a very long time. And if you are not getting this yet, you'll never get it. You can join us, by the way, at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Let's begin with some audio from Bill Malugin at Fox. Bill reporting today that it's as bad as it's been at any point now during the Biden administration, as more illegals, they have nearly 13,000 encountered in just 24 hours. These are the ones who were encountered. Never mind the ones who got away.
And the numbers just keep getting worse. Those 12,600 encounters you mentioned, that is the highest single-day total ever recorded, beating the previous record just a couple of weeks ago. And Eagle Pass is just getting completely overrun. Take a look at this video. A contact on the ground there sent us last night. Thousands upon thousands of migrants camped out waiting to be processed by Border Patrol. I can tell you, I've spent hundreds of days in Eagle Pass over the last couple of years. I've never seen the situation that bad there. And it is still going on this morning.
Never seen it. Bill Malugin and that fabulous hair have never seen the illegals coming in at this rate. Ever. In his entire time there. And he spent a lot of time on that border. This is not just, dropping in for a second. He's been there a lot with a couple of other great reporters, just a few. And 12,600 plus illegal immigrants encountered at the southern border over just 24 hours. That's the highest single day total ever. These are mostly military-aged males coming in by the tens of thousands each day now. And our scumbag president is doing nothing. In fact, he's facilitating it, making it worse. Oh, but he's assigning Border Patrol agents to handle it. What are they handling? Oh, they're bringing in more illegals. They're processing them more quickly into the country, not ejecting them, not stopping them, not building a wall. Here's Bill Malugin yesterday, I believe, but just here in the last 24 hours, talking about how the railways are now being shut down because Customs and Border Protection has to be reassigned.
The railway bridge has been shut down into Eagle Pass, also in El Paso. CBP doing that to redeploy personnel to help Border Patrol with migrant processing, and Union Pacific is not happy about that decision. They tweeted in part, quote, Union Pacific urges the Eagle Pass and El Paso border crossings to be reopened immediately. Roughly 450,000 rail shipments move across these two gateways annually. It would take over 1 million trucks to move the same amount of goods. These locations represent 45% of cross-border Union Pacific business and include goods critical to the U.S. economy. So essentially, they are shutting down international commerce in these spots to help speed up migrant processing.
Does this feel familiar at all? The whole shutting down of supply chains, crippling the ability of the American consumer to be able to access products at their normal rates. You think this is going to be good for the prices of products that come across the border from Mexico? No, it's not. You know how many car parts are made now and processed in Mexico? How many plants are down there Now, that's not a commentary on that's the way things should be. I'd like to see all these jobs in America, but that's not the situation we have right now. So what you have is prices are, have been skyrocketing, continue to skyrocket. You think things are going to get worse? Yeah, for sure. For sure. And so Union Pacific is saying this today. Let me quote from a different tweet than the one Bill Malugin cited. Roughly 45% of all rail cars moving to and from Mexico cross through El Paso and Eagle Pass. Just these two railways. The ones that Biden just shut down. There isn't enough capacity at the other 4 gateways to reroute them. Union Pacific urges Eagle Pass and El Paso border crossings to be reopened immediately. They're urging the Biden administration to do that. That's what they're saying. They say this is impacting the following products: agricultural products, grain held in 6 Midwest states. These would be exports that we're concerned with. Food and beverages, beer and dry food products, automotive that is, finished vehicles and parts, consumer goods, industrial commodities, including metals and cement. Just the kind of stuff that makes an economy operate. Just the kind of stuff that people need. I asked for more intel on this morning from our in-house economist, E.J. Antoni, and here's what he sent me. He said Eagle Pass and El Paso are America's 2nd and 3rd busiest railroad border crossings, respectively. The 2nd and 3rd. So these are among the most important arteries into and out of the United States by rail. You heard Union Pacific say 1 million trucks would be required to carry the same freight that right now is not being carried on these trains. 1 million trucks. EJ writes that Union Pacific already has a backlog of 530,000 feet of freight trains, amounting to over 840,000 tons, mere hours, that is, after the closure was announced. These 2 locations account for almost half of Union Pacific's cross-border traffic. Union Pacific, acronym here, UP, only has 6 border crossings. So this means 1/3 of all of their crossings are shut down right now. The busiest crossing, Laredo, already operates near capacity with a train every single hour. Additionally, traffic cannot always simply be rerouted through other crossings because the routes between crossings are typically already occupied by trains. In terms of impact, there was significant fallout when trade with America's 3rd largest trading partner, China, was hamstrung by congestion at California ports. You remember that? They couldn't even get the stuff off the ships. They couldn't get trucks into the state to get the stuff off the ships. Now, EJ writes, we're talking about a similar disruption, but with America's 2nd largest trading partner, Mexico. All of this designed by the Biden administration. This didn't have to happen. Oh, they're responding to the dynamic needs on the ground, are they? Who created the dynamic problem on the ground? Biden. He's using your tax dollars as we speak to traffic more humans into the country. There's a whole constellation of NGOs that are receiving millions and millions of dollars to human traffic people deeper into our country. And so why do people start this journey? And it's not from just South America. That's the old way. It's not just from Central America. That's the old way. No, it's from Africa. It's from the Middle East. It's from China. Have you seen how many Chinese men are crossing our southern border? And we've been looking at images from Eagle Pass, Texas, where you just heard Bill Malugin talk about it. He's never seen anything like this. It's like you've got people lining up by the thousands for Taylor Swift tickets. They're just pouring into the United States of America right now. And when they get here, it's not that they have to rush across the border. They come into the waiting arms of federal agents working for Joe Biden. So that's the state of play on the ground. And it's like, I don't know, it's like one of these things, I get bummed out that I have to share these stories, and because what you want is, like, truthfully, what I really want is to be able to say, here's what's happening, here's how we can fix it, here's how we take positive action to do that, and here's how it gets fixed. That's what I really want, don't you? That's what you desire too. But I can't offer you anything other than the obvious, which is that if you were a president who cared about your country, you would secure its border. If you cared about our sovereignty, you would secure its border. So obviously, what does this imply? They don't care. In fact, they love this. They've embraced it wholeheartedly. Totally destroying the country. what was it, Jake Tapper on CNN over the weekend, who was like, I think it was with Joe Manchin, right? Where they were talking about this. I know I have some audio from yesterday. Let me look at my audio cut sheet from yesterday. But they were talking about this. And Tapper, oh yeah, Joe Manchin, even Joe Manchin's like, hey, this is dangerous what's happening on our border right now. Jake Tapper's like, how could you say that? What do you mean it's dangerous? How dare you impugn these sweet, innocent angels who are pouring across our border, military-aged males from every country on planet Earth?
When you say it's dangerous, what do you mean by dangerous? I mean, most of the people coming to this country do not pose a danger to Americans.
How could you know that? How could he possibly know that? It's not even a statistic backed by any evidence. It's not something that he knows empirically. He just made it up. He's like, it's not like most of these people are dangerous, but even so, why would the rationale for that make any sense? Like, I could believe that statistically that's probably true in terms of posing some sort of imminent threat to the country. Most of them are not terrorists, so why not keep allowing illegal immigration to continue? Like, what? What is this rationale?
People coming to this country do not pose a danger to Americans.
Jake, we're letting people come in and not adjudicate them through the parole system that you said, and also basically just not having the means and having that much personnel to basically go through.
I love how patient he is with them. He's like, man, Joe Manchin's like, Jake, we're just like letting people in. We have no idea who they are.
Why you came, how you came, the purpose of your coming, this and that. We're going to basically say, okay, you don't seem to be a threat. Maybe they don't know because they're not doing, I think, proper screening. When you have 10 and 12,000 people coming a day, and you're only able to basically really adjudicate maybe 500, no more than 1,000 a day, but 500 normally, Jake, you're overrun.
Yeah.
And you just turn them loose and basically disperse them within and says, we'll get to you later. There can be very dangerous people coming for whatever nefarious reasons they're coming.
You know, and remember the crap they gave Trump for saying this? Do you remember this? That what Mexico was allowing happened to our country, the people pouring across it. It was when he announced his candidacy, he gave a speech to this effect. And now you have people like Democrat Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, which is among the funniest names in the Congress, saying, we don't want illegals. This is her quote, by the way. This is the left. Normally, it's like the rest of us, we can talk about this casually because, it's obviously true. We're talking about illegal aliens. But the left gets very spun up when you say illegal aliens. They hate this, or illegals. They're like, how dare you? No person's illegal. Debbie Dingell's not on board with the program, apparently. Or at least she senses some sort of political peril by being on board with the program. Here she is talking to NBC's Kristen Welker this week.
What is your response when he says that the border is broken under President Biden?
Border's been broken. It was broken under Donald Trump as well.
First of all, just totally wrong. I mean, we continue to have an illegal immigration problem, absolutely, but nowhere near the scale we have it now. And Donald Trump was able to wrestle it into much more control than most of us have seen in our entire lifetimes.
We have needed comprehensive immigration reform for decades. Let me also say,
amnesty is what she's talking about. We need amnesty. Comprehensive immigration reform is a euphemism for allowing people to break our laws and get away with it.
A small business is clamoring for people. We've got caregiving, which is
my donors need illegals.
In desperate shape, and we need to bring some of these people need to be immigrants, but we don't want illegals. We don't want other people coming in. We don't want drugs coming across our border. We need a balanced, comprehensive immigration policy.
Okay, so you heard from her there. We need a balanced policy for immigration, which again means amnesty. So, this is just spin. I mean, this is her saying, well, we don't want illegals. We just want all of those very same people to be legal. Just let them pour across the border. At least she's being honest about it. The very least. Yeah, just let's just do open borders. Let the foreign nationals pour in. They don't have to be illegal. They can be fully legal. All right. Coming up, we'll have Guy Reschenthaler. He's a sitting United States congressman. We'll find out if he's anywhere near as frustrated as we are on this subject. We'll talk about the border with him. Also, I do have a report from Stephen Camarata. Brand new information on, and we every so often we get these reports from these great organizations that look into it. But brand new information on just how much this is costing us. Just how much American taxpayers are pouring into the care and feeding of illegal foreign nationals, which is immense. It's a huge number. And Jake Tapper's not talking about it. It's 3:21 now. Let me take a phone call. I've got Danny calling in from Washington, D.C., line 3. Danny, you're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Hey, Vince, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
It's become painfully obvious to me that this administration has done this for strength in numbers. In other words, we're going to let you all in here with absolutely zero impunity, but you got to vote for us. And I'm wondering if when this is all said and done, when Joe Biden is on, his deathbed, if he's going to lie again and say that he destroyed our country because of some traumatic nonsense that happened during his childhood. I mean, there's no other way to explain why they're allowing this to happen. And while we've got our eyes on the southern border, what in the hell is going on with our northern border?
Yeah, a lot of illegals are pouring across our northern border, too. Not to the same number, but definitely huge problems up there as well. That's an excellent
they don't
point.
have a river to cross up there.
Yeah, no, that's true. And Danny, the left has not been shy about saying that they don't like the voters we have and they prefer different ones. They've written books on the subject. But I think it's even worse than that, Danny. I think there are plenty of people on the left who have become convinced, thanks to the Soros open border crowd all over the planet. It's not just here in the United States. It is everywhere that this is happening. And the belief is that the West doesn't deserve sovereignty. That there's nothing exceptional about us. We are oppressors. We don't deserve our borders. And the world should be able to pour across them. And foreign nationals cannot be illegal, and they have just as much of a right to this country and everything about it as your children do. They really believe that.
Yeah, and the thing that kills me the most about this is that I've got nieces and nephews that are like, oh, we're going to be fine. No, you're not.
Yeah, that's the optimistic view. That's for sure. All right, hold on. I've got Congressman Guy Reschenthaler joining us from Pennsylvania in a moment. He's also the chief deputy whip in the Congress. We'll talk to him about the latest here when it comes to the border. The White House insists they're doing everything they can. It's actually Congress's fault that this is a disaster. We'll talk to the congressman moments from now. Well, good afternoon to you. 3:35 here, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we are making sense of the news. Coming up today from the Center for Immigration Studies in the midst of all of this border chaos, we'll talk to Stephen Camerata about the impact that all of these illegals are having on our welfare system. It's a big deal. It's a big deal, and he's got the data to show it. And Jonathan Skrmetti is the Attorney General for the state of Tennessee. He'll be joining us at 5:30 as he sues BlackRock for all of this left-wing destruction of our country using your retirement money. How fun is that? And you can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. I'll be sharing some fun announcements later in the program with you on what we have planned for you tomorrow on the show. But in the meantime, let's focus on this border. I told you a moment ago, it feels like every week we have this headline. The most people ever just crossed the border in a single day. But that is true, as yet again, Bill Maluzhin with the report today that 12,600 illegal immigrants were encountered at the southern border over the past 24 hours. That does not include the people who just evaded Border Patrol detection. And the Biden administration is trying to rush everybody in. In fact, they've closed down rail lines into the country and reassigned the Border Patrol agents there to helping more illegals get into our country. Joining us now to discuss, Congressman Guy Reschenthaler, who represents Pennsylvania's 14th Congressional District, and he's the Chief Deputy Whip as well. Congressman, good to have you back with us, sir. Thank you.
It's always good to come on, and in advance, I want to say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Thanks for being here, sir. Tell me, what do you make of the fact that we are shutting down railways into and out of our country now in order to process more illegal foreign nationals into it?
Well, it's almost like the Biden administration and the far left want as many illegals in this country as possible. And for me, it's staggering how many illegals have come into the country. If you look at it, if you were to total all the illegal immigrants together, they'd be about the population size of Virginia. they'd have around 6 or 7 representatives in the House if they were a state unto themselves that could vote. I mean, this is a staggering number, Vince. It's just not about illegal immigrants coming to the country. It's also about terrorism. It's about fentanyl. Let's just look at terrorism for a second. We've caught 100, or I think it's actually over 100 people on the terrorist watch list, which begs the question, how many people did we not catch that are on the terrorist watch list? Remember, it took 19 terrorists to do 9/11. I can guarantee you there's more than 19 terrorists that have come across that southern border. We also have a fentanyl issue. You got about 300 people a day dying of fentanyl overdoses, and that's because fentanyl is coming across the porous southern border. We cannot overstate the cluster, the disaster that is the southern border.
The problem here, one of many, is that I don't know about you, but I feel so helpless about this. I don't know what to do. I mean, we talk about it till we're blue in the face. This is a massive problem. It seems to be only getting worse by the day, and the Biden administration keeps sticking the shiv between every one of my ribs on this issue. And I've got nothing to do. What can be done, Congressman? Is there any evidence that something is possibly going to ever happen in Congress?
Well, so Vince, going into the next year, Speaker Johnson wants to tie Ukraine funding, which we know that basically every single Democrat and Warhawk in the Republican Party wants. So we know we can negotiate with Ukraine funding, tie Ukraine funding to border security. And that would mean we would get policy wins very similar to what we passed in H.R. 2. H.R. 2 is what the House passed with border security, first border security bill since the early 90s. But if we can get border wins for Ukraine, let's do it. In an ideal world, we wouldn't need to tie border security to anything because it would be seen in America's best interest and the right thing to do. Sadly, with this far left extreme Democratic Party, you have to guarantee that you'll secure Ukraine's border so that we can secure our own border. But again, that shows you the priorities of the left.
Well, it's so totally offensive, that arrangement. It's the craziest thing. But is it your view that that'll work? Like, so if Biden gets money for the country that enriched his family, then he will start taking seriously the obligation to protect our border?
So yes and no. I think it will work. However, we've got to make sure we'll work to secure the southern border. The devil is in the details. What we need to do is we need to make sure we have policy changes. Because if we just throw money at it, so like let's say you say, okay, we're going to do a supplemental for Ukraine at $60 billion, and we're going to do a $30 billion supplemental for the southern border. The Democrats will just use that money for the border to process more illegal immigrants.
Exactly.
So what we need to do, so it can't just be a dollar amount given to the border. What we need to do is we need to say, okay, we need remain in Mexico back. We need the border wall completed, or at least completed where it makes sense. We need more agents that are patrolling. And then you have to fence the money, meaning that you have to say, we're going to appropriate X amount of money to the border. However, the Biden administration and the Department of Homeland Security only gets that if illegal crossings are below a benchmark number from either day to day, week to week, month to month. You pick the matrix, but you've got to have something in there to actually hold the administration accountable.
Yes.
That's really where we are right now.
You know, I'm an optimistic person by nature, but this issue makes me very cynical, unfortunately. And I'm kind of convinced that it doesn't really matter what law you pass. Biden doesn't follow the law, Congressman. I mean, the law right now is if you are illegal, you're not supposed to come into the country. The law right now is we have a border patrol that's supposed to stop you. The law right now is that they should be securing the border. They're not following any of these laws. So why would a new law have any effect whatsoever? I guess that's the point. I'm concerned about that because Biden's just brazenly ignoring the laws when it comes to our border.
Well, absolutely. Well, remember, when you're a Democrat, it's rules for thee, not for me.
Yeah.
And that's how they think. Everything's a double standard. But am I optimistic that the Biden administration will actually do something? No, I'm not. I'm with you. I'm very cynical about it. And also with all the Democrats and all the far left radical extremists in their party.
Yeah.
Vince, I will give you the silver lining here and what to be optimistic about. Republicans are now taking 55% of the Hispanic vote. Okay, so now look, the fentanyl issue, a crisis. The fact that you have terrorists coming across, that's a crisis. But I still think we should stop illegal immigration. But the silver lining here is that we are transitioning into a blue-collar, high school-educated party comprise a large part of minorities, specifically Hispanics. As soon as the Democrats start to realize that they are losing the Hispanic vote, watch how quickly they want to shut down the southern border. That's the silver lining for the conservative movement.
Maybe. But one of the issues, though, is that first of all, the Hispanic voters are not illegal immigrants, one. So there's that. Although, of course, you're right that Democrats do want to turn all these illegals into American voters. But two, it's not just, as you know, it's not just Hispanic people pouring across our border now. It's not Central and South America. These are Chinese men who are coming across the border. There's you have African, Middle Eastern, military-aged males. Exactly right. So it's
exactly
bizarre.
Right. You're exactly right, Vince. And I don't mean to minimize the problem at the border at all. Please don't take that comment. I was just trying to find some ray of hope in this mess. That's it. But I can tell you, yes, the Chinese men coming across, which that in and of itself begs the question, why is the CCP sending them here? Because these aren't people that are fleeing from communist China. The CCP and the PLA are directing them here. And then as far as the Africans that are coming across, it's Africans from nations that are known for having terrorist activity, like areas that Boko Haram controls in Africa. Clearly, there is a possible motive to have a terrorist attack here. Also, the Middle Easterners coming across. Remember, Hamas is running around declaring certain days international days of jihad. That is an incredible problem for us, especially, like I said, if you have terrorists that have been caught. Those are just the ones we know of. You probably have a multiple of the hundred that have been caught. You probably have a multiple of that have not been caught that are in the interior of the country.
Yeah. So what is the conversation? Do members of Congress like chatter amongst each other, like behind closed doors at all? Like I always wonder, like, is this the kind of thing that rises to the level that like everybody's freaking out about it, outraged, they can't believe it, they wake up, they think to themselves, man, America's falling apart, we've got to fight today for the country? Or do you get frustrated? You're like, hey, does anybody else know what's going on around here? Because I feel like I'm the only guy who's recognizing this. What is it, or is it somewhere in between, Congressman Reschenthaler?
No, and Vince, please just call me Guy. No, it's a mixture of both. I mean, this job, it grinds you down. You have to believe that you're here for a purpose, and there's a reason for you being in the office. If you're going to come to work every day. Frankly, that's why you've seen like 30 or 40 retirement announcements already. It's because people don't like to be in office. But I can tell you that the members that I talk to, the members that are coming back, they feel like they're doing it for a reason. A large part is securing the border.
So you get the impression that there is a meaningful group of people within Congress who would like to fix this. I realize, like, sometimes we do see groups of, for instance, Republican congressmen will go down to the border and they'll hold a press conference, try and draw attention to it. But it does feel like this is one of the biggest issues that we're confronting, and that there's not commensurate urgency coming out of Washington. There's a lot of lip service to it, but not really much being fixed, is there?
Well, there's a reason why we had HR2, HR1. So normally those are your marquee pieces of legislation. Right. HR1 was our energy policy. We passed that. Our second priority was border security, and the Republicans in the House passed that with all Republican votes, by the way. The issue that we have is we have a radical leftist in the White House. And you can say, oh, Joe Biden's not that radical. Well, I guarantee you the people around him are. The staffers in the White House are leftist radicals. Okay, and you have a Democratic Party that's controlling the Senate, also leftist radicals. So given the fact that we have divided government, unfortunately just one chamber cannot just make the law. We need 60 in the Senate, and we need a signature from the White House.
Let me move to the White House now for a moment with you. What do you make of the way that they represent all of these issues? They keep on insisting. I've been playing this audio. John Kirby, the adult spokesman at the White House, constantly claims things like Joe Biden is all about border security. He'll say something like that. Or you'll get Karine Jean-Pierre will say that the economy is doing great. Bidenomics is successful. It's working well for everybody. Do you ever look at that and like laugh out loud that they're saying things that are so obviously untrue?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're just gaslighting the American public. When it comes to John Kirby, he reminds me of Baghdad Bob. He was the military leader that, as American tanks were rolling down the streets of Baghdad in 2003, he was on the PA system saying everything's okay, we're going to defeat the Americans. John Kirby is our version of Baghdad Bob. I mean, the guy's just out there gaslighting us. just a complete puppet of the administration, the far left radical extremists. And Karine Jean-Pierre, the same thing. The good thing that we have going for us is that both of those people are atrocious spokespeople. I'm glad they don't have a lot of talent in the communications department of the White House, because it makes it easier to push back on their narrative. But the other thing they have, not only are they wildly untalented, they also have horrible messages to go out. I mean, most Americans are with conservatives on the issue. If you look at polling, more and more Americans trust Republicans than Democrats when it comes to border security, when it comes to national security, the economy. And for the first time ever in the history of polling, more people trust Republicans when it comes to education than Democrats. So we are dominating them on the ideas, on the issues. That's why we just totally have not been obliterated by a party, because if you look at it, they have all the institutions in their favor. All the institutions are in far left Democrat control.
That's right.
They have the entire legacy media. The only thing that's holding us back, that's holding us together, is we have the high ground when it comes to ideas and ideology.
Right. So they may not have the message, but as you point out, they do have the machine. And that machine includes the United States Department of Justice. And we are watching right now one of the most obvious efforts of election meddling any of us has ever seen play out as they prosecute the top candidate for president of the United States, Donald Trump, literally the single most popular candidate for president right now. The Biden administration is trying to imprison him before the election. And so what do you make of this? And is this another conversation in the halls of Congress about a guy like Jack Smith, who is a lieutenant of the Biden administration, doing everything he can to take down Trump before the election?
Well, yeah, we talk about this all the time. And if you look at the DOJ we are losing faith in our institutions because our institutions have lost faith in the American system. Okay, DOJ and FBI are just two examples of this, where now you have two tiers of criminal justice. You have one for Republicans, which they throw the book at you, they prosecute you even for crimes you don't commit. And then if you're a Democrat or you're a supporter of the ruling regime, the ruling elite, there are no charges against you. Look at how Hillary Clinton was treated. Roughly the same kind of scenario with Trump, with classified documents, for example. She wasn't even charged, and the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago, brings charges against them. If you look at how the Biden administration is basically a crime family, a racketeering scheme, and Comer and Jordan and Smith will prove this during the impeachment inquiry. But look at how they're treated with no criminal charges, and look at how President Trump is. I mean, President Trump was impeached the first time for something Joe Biden actually did. Remember the quid pro quo? Joe Biden actually conditioned aid to Ukraine on them firing a prosecutor.
Yes.
Trump got prosecuted for the same thing, only Joe Biden actually did it.
Yeah.
So look, these institutes, we should have impeached Wray. We should have impeached Merrick Garland day one when we took back the House. Unfortunately, we did not. But the American people are losing faith in these institutions because these institutions have been weaponized and radicalized.
Yeah. No, it's actually an interesting point. We've already had a presidential impeachment over Joe Biden's behavior. That's very, very fascinating. Guy Reschenthaler, thank you very much, Congressman from Pennsylvania, for your time today, sir. Okay. Chris Marshall, line 2. Chris, cheer me up, brother.
Oh, man, I wish I could. I've got a theory that's not very popular. I posit that the border is secure. In fact, it has never in its history been more secure. It's secure with brutal lethality. I challenge anybody to travel 40 miles into Mexico and turn around and march north without the sanction and the knowledge of the cartels, who now are probably wealthier than the House of Saud.
Right, yeah, the cartels have taken over border operations on the U.S.-Mexico border, and they're making a ton of cash.
Vince, I speak to illegals on a daily basis, people that are undocumented, and they tell me it used to be $500, $600, $800. It's in the thousands now, and everybody pays. Nobody passes that border that isn't sanctioned. It's just not secure by us.
And the Biden administration is enriching.
That's about as popular as a pork chop in a synagogue, but it's reality. And it explains why Biden won't do anything about it, because they're threatened.
Yeah, no, these are all excellent points, Chris. I will object to one thing you said, though, that they are in any way undocumented. When they get here, the Biden administration is now giving them welcome kits with all of the documentation. Welcome to America. They've got documents. They're not undocumented. They're definitely illegal, and the cartels are definitely making out like the bandits they are, thanks to Joe Biden and company. Coming up, we'll be joined by Stephen Camarata. We'll talk to him from the Center for Immigration Studies. Also, that Harvard president, Claudine Gay, it'll cheer you up to know how stupid she really is. I've got more updates on that.